Brody on the line, I'm tapping in. God out here pulling the strings for me. A girl on the line, she feeling me. Preoccupied by the motivation. Put in the time, pay the entry fee. Bro on the rise, yeah, he kinda nice. Inside of my mind, no one's real as me. Lately, life has been gorgeous. Wake up to clear, my eyes hit recorded. Praise up to God, I ain't chasing no swinging the miss, got me hitting these licks. I get the orders, don't get it.
What up, though?
What up, though? Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now. Look, I watch y'all show every day that our show airs to hear what y'all got to say. And some of these things, I'm like, yeah, let's get it in.
Okay.
I'm so excited to be here with y'all. This is dope.
So I'll just get us started with introductions. My name is Tiara.
I'm LaWanda.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And to our viewers out there, if you don't know, you're about to find out. We have Randy Huggins with us. He is the executive producer, writer, showrunner for one of our favorite new shows, BMF. It is such a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here. One of my favorite shows.
Okay, see?
Hard work.
Randy is here. He's with us.
He's with us.
So let's just dive right into some of our questions because we got a lot of them for you and we want to be mindful of your time. So as a Detroit native, growing up there and, putting on for the show, first of all, we were at the premiere in Atlanta and we seen how Detroit was repping heavy.
We did. Everywhere.
What up, though, Detroit?
What up, though? You already know.
Yes. And so being a Detroit native, how was it putting that show together? And especially since you were there around the time where Meechin would have been coming of age too. Can you relate to some of their experiences?
Absolutely. I mean, Terry's a year older than me. Meech is 3.5 years older than me. So everything that they were doing, I wanted to do. Everything they were wearing, I wanted to wear. My mama wasn't buying that for me, but I certainly wanted it. And even the places that they were going, I was there. I was just at the nosebleed of the Fresh Fest Festival. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So the connection, the music they listened to, the food they ate, I ate all of that. So it was so easy for me to fall in line with that.
We feel that because the sense of authenticity that you get from this show, from even down to the casting and then like the locations that y'all drop throughout the show, it's just been truly authentic, even down to having Meech's own son playing them. So congratulations on everything.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. I think it's very interesting, the casting process of Demetrius Flannery Jr. I'm not sure if you guys remember 50 Cent used to do these castings. He did one in Atlanta. I think it was 4,500 people came out. He did one in Los Angeles. I think it was wrapped around the block like 9 times. But at the one in Atlanta, Little Meech came out and, 50 was like, it's you. You know what I mean? And then he came and told me, and I'm like, I don't know about that one. You know what I mean? And then he put him in acting school with Tasha Smith in LA. And so like for 1.5 years, this kid was going to school, trying to, improve. And then, they had him do his cast read. And I was like, he all right, but the lead on my show, I'm not sure about that. You know what I mean? This is my shot. Like not my first shot, but you don't get a lot of shots. You know what I mean? So, and then they went back and he worked a little bit harder. And then I said, well, let's see him in a chemistry read because we had already found Da Vinci. And then when he did a chemistry read with Da Vinci, I was like, oh, that's pretty good. And even the places where he may have been weaker, I could play it as vulnerabilities to make the audience fall in love with the character. And then, we flew him to Atlanta and then we cut his hair. And right before my eyes, he morphed into his father. You know what I mean? And he continued to work with his acting coach and work. And if you watch from episode 1 to episode 8, there is a huge huge. Like I remember somebody saw him in episode 1. They was like, I don't know if he that good. I was like, keep watching. And that same person told me after episode 10, oh, he the truth.
He is the truth.
Yeah. The whole cast is killing it.
The whole cast is amazing.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for saying that. I think a big portion of that goes to Kim Coleman and also Tasha Smith. You know what I mean? And it's everybody because 50 was certainly Little Meech. You know what I mean? And then Tasha was absolutely Russell. You know what I mean? I'm Cash Dow all the way. Yes, that is me. I didn't even know who Cash Dow was because I'm 49. So I heard Big Sean's Detroit 2, and I heard Friday Night Cypher, and I was like, I don't know who that is. And I like happened to look at her on the video or whatever, and I was like, Tasha, you know her? And I was like, I want to cast her. And she called her right there. It's like, yo, we want to cast. So like, and she got that opportunity and she nailed it. And what was really dope about our entire show is I wasn't 50's first choice for a writer. He went to 2 other writers. And then I wound up being the guy. Meech wasn't our first choice for Meech. You know what I mean? Tasha wasn't even the first person for director. So like, I feel like everybody who's on this show is supposed to be here for a reason. And I think, you know, it shows.
Yeah.
Well,
Sure.
while we're talking about characters, I want to bring up one. Now, Lamar's character is a combination of 2 people, crazy and crazier. And I just really want to know, how many trees did y'all have to kill to come up with that character?
No, it's actually, that character is really based off somebody in real life. And a lot of the things that happen, you know, yeah, a lot of those things happen really actually happen. Like what's crazy about our show is stranger than fiction. You know what I mean? What's crazy, the things that people are like, oh no, that didn't happen. He didn't walk in no hospital with no, yes, he did. Now things that you think actually happened, that ain't happened. I made that. You know what I mean? We went left here. So that's the very interesting thing about this. And then really it was Lamar. In real life, Lamar had a brother. And that's one of the things that Meech was disappointed in me, is that I didn't make it Lamar and his brother. But I'm like, he's an amalgamation of both of those dudes. You know what I mean? And therefore, it gives me more time to invest in other characters. So, you know, that's some of the things you have to deal with when you tell a show about real life people. You know what I mean? And, you know, that's my battle every day. And I'm dealing with 2 real life people. So, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's a little complicated at times.
So I have a question about that. So when you're telling a story about, you know, real life people in a period not too far removed, how do you remain truthful to the story and still protective of some people, considering kind of the nature of the storyline?
Well, if your name ain't Flannery, you probably don't have your real name in here. You know what I mean? You probably don't have your real likeness in here. But there's pretty much, I'm telling a drama. You know what I mean? Which is different from a documentary. The burden of proof on a documentary, you have to tell the truth. What my responsibility is to entertain. So I'm sure people don't want to see, and then we just stood there for 7 hours, and we stood there, and that's all we did was stand there. Who wants to see that? And not to mention, I'm doing a period piece of the 1980s, mid 80s. And it's 2021. Look how many drug shows there have been. How many times have you seen it? So I have to be able to reinvent what you said and make it fresher to make the audiences say, damn, they was slicked in the mug. I didn't know they, you know what I mean? Like they didn't necessarily, I think I could share this because this is already it. So like where they live, they're from Southwest Detroit. I'm from Northwest Detroit. Where they live, like the Ford plant is here. It's like one of the most heavily polluted areas in Detroit. And it's plants all around. So I said to Meech one day, did y'all used to serve the factory workers? And again, he said, yeah, we would be out on the corner and they would come by on their lunch. Well, how many times have you seen that? So to reinvent, you make them smart. And he sees a roach coach is what it was called in those days. And he says, the roach coach can get in on the plant. They don't have to come out. That makes them smart. You know what I mean? And they were smart, but it's like just sort of, you know, trying to combine the two.
Okay, and so you started talking a little bit about having conversations with Meech, both on the phone and in person. So what kind of input was he getting? What was, you think his vision for the show aligned with your vision for the show?
Absolutely. I mean, I took my game from him. I mean, like, one of the first things he says is everybody knows about these dudes that was from Detroit that went to Atlanta and started getting money. He said, I don't want to tell that story. I want to tell the origin story on why we got in the game. We came from, I'm literally quoting him, but we came from a 2-parent household. People would think we came from a broken household. It was a 2-parent household. We were just poor as all get out, from bad financial management, from, you know what I mean? So that, hearing that, you know what I mean, really told me where we needed to start. I mean, this is Big Meats talking to you, like telling you where he wants to start. So then I had to just wrap my brain around what he was saying. And, you know, I came up with the, you know, the opening images that came from him. Those are specific quotes from him. You know what I mean? The photos, we came up with the motifs, like they go back in their childhood. Most of those are true stories, you know. And, you know, really our series, I think the conceit of our series is we get to get in the mind of a 17-year-old, really mastermind, really genius. And you get to hear how he thinks, you know what I mean? And as you go on a series, some of the mistakes that people complain, and why would he do this? And why would, you're going to see he don't make that mistake when he's 25. Those are 17-year-old mistakes.
Right.
When you're 30, you're like, oh, I already know. And the audience will be like, oh, he ain't going to fall for that. But we know sometimes people make mistakes that they shouldn't make. Oftentimes men, you know, Ron, I hear you all the time. Why would he? I wouldn't. And I'm like, hey man, now when they got that goody good, you like, oh man, I done messed up again. So,
and that's exactly what I always say to Ron about the power of the women. You know,
look, I have conceded, Randy. So I understand, because every time I go back in my day, I remember some things. You know, I can't share it, but I do remember some things. You know,
but you don't say that in your arguments.
Well, look, I'm trying to represent. So just give me that. You know, that's all. Just give me that.
100%.
So Randy, can you speak to the importance of creatives having the power to tell their own narrative, so you can tell the story that's a drug story, but really tell it from the perspective of it being a family origin story?
100%. And I'm glad you said that, because I don't think this is a drug story. I think this is a story about family. I think it's about love. I think it's about brotherhood. And I think it's about a specific time, you know what I mean, in a specific region of the country, which is what really attracted me to this. There've been, I mean, we've seen Baltimore, we've seen Los Angeles, we've seen, you know, New York. We haven't really seen Detroit, you know what I mean? So to have the opportunity to bring the culture of Detroit, when I say culture, we have our own music, you know what I mean? I'm not talking about just Motown and Eminem. I'm talking about in the 1980s, techno. Like when you think about EDM, that's one of the most dominant music forms in the world right now. That's derivative of techno, which was created by 3 Black dudes here, the Belleville 3, Kevin, Derek, I just blew their names. But anyway, the Belleville 3, Kevin Saunderson, Derek May, and Juan Atkins. So, you know, that's what we were listening to. And you know what's really interesting in that era? I felt like as a whole, the country, every region had their own thing. In a weird way, I kind of think music videos kind of submerged it all. Like, you know, we like now you got iHeart and you listen to music all over. But back then, Chicago had house. You know what I mean? New York had some house, but mostly hip hop. DC had go-go. You know what I mean? We had techno. It was very regional. And in a way, they kind of lost the individuality when they mixed that. But also speaking with the culture of Detroit, as I said, we don't say, hey, how are you? We say, what up, though? You know what I mean? We don't say, hey, I want a soda. We say, give me a pop. You know what I mean? We don't say, hey, where your sneakers. We say, no, my gym shoes. So you know what I mean? To be able to pull all of that in there, and you know we got to talk about the fashion. That was one of the first things Meeks told me, don't mess up. Our fashion is like nobody else. You better make sure you get the fashion right. So to be able to pull all that in, I think it was absolutely important. And they have done shows here. They did 187 Detroit. They did Low Winter Sun, but those weren't written by Detroiters. You know what I mean? I'm telling you what he eat. He eating red hots and he drinking a Faygo because I drank it. You know what I mean? So I think it's absolutely imperative that you are familiar, and the more familiar you are, the more reality you can bring to the project.
Excellent. So
I know I was curious about your journey as a school teacher to now being the showrunner of BMF. Like, I want to hear about that journey.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey. It's crazy. I'm in Detroit now. You know, I taught school on the east side at Pulaski Elementary School, and I taught, I mean, when I tell you what I taught, you're gonna understand why I left school teaching. I had listen, you're not gonna, this ain't gonna even make sense to you. I had a 3-5 split. Do you understand what that is? So half of my class was 3rd grade. The other half was 5th grade. You know what I mean?
Wow.
That don't even make sense. How you gonna have 3rd and 5th and no 4th? But anyway, yeah, and I had them, and I had an oversized class, like 36 students. You know what I mean? So I had students sitting all around my desk, and like, it was just crazy. It was just like I was the baby to sit down, stop, don't, you know what I mean? And then at that point, they were asking us to teach the test because you can't get funding from the state unless you pass the MEET, Michigan Education, whatever that program is. So we were literally teaching the test, and it was really, I was the basketball coach. I worked at Comey Young Foundation as an alumni scholar. I was the coach. A lot of the parents, like women wasn't even coming to teachers parent conference until I became the teacher. And then now all the ladies would be lined up down the hallway. And like, you know, it was just crazy. It was like, I was like, what am I doing with my life? This is not what I'm here for. I can make a difference a better way. And I knew that was never my dream to become a teacher. I sort of like fell into it. So, you know, I found out about a film program in California and applied for it and wrote a letter to all my family, friends, and coworkers asking them for donations. And within 3 weeks, I had $10,000. I enrolled in the program, drove to California, and hustled from the bottom up. 21 years, here we go. I'm on, you know what I mean, with you fantastic people talking about this show.
That's right. Look, follow your dreams.
Definitely. Well, I want to ask, as a showrunner for one of the most powerful TV series since The Wire, are there any comparisons with The Wire, or do you see any real comparisons?
I mean, yeah, there are comparisons. I mean, look, that was one of my favorite shows. And listen, one of my greatest sayings is good artists borrow, great artists steal and make it their own. So I hope I've taken that show and flipped it 3 times and made it my own. You know what I mean?
Let me tell you, you did, because, you know, I had to get into The Wire. It was a few seasons, I think, before I actually got in and said, okay, this is grabbing me. But yours, BMF, I mean, episode 1, and I see the progression too. So, you know, I might say something else crazy as this, you know, by season 2, but, you know, it's just one of the better TV series that I really just can't wait until Sunday to see what you guys have produced, because, you know, and I'm not saying this because you're here. We talk about this all the time. You have one of the best shows that we've seen so far.
Well, thank you so much. You know, as the leader of the show, I grew up in sport. So and my mother's in the Women's Softball Hall of Fame. And so I understand life through sports, and I've never played a sport where I wasn't trying to win a championship. And the championship in our industry is called an Emmy. So when I first came on, anybody that comes on our show, I let them know that's what we're after, because there are going to be crazy days. There are going to be days that you don't want to work and you're like, I'm sick of this. But when you remember the goal of what we after, it makes it a little bit easier and kind of keeps us a little bit more focused. So that's what, you know, I told everybody on the show, including Snoop Dogg, which again was not my hire. That was a 50 hire, because we wanted to cast 50 as Pastor Swift. Oh, wow. And we were planning, we were writing like, oh, 50's gonna do this and 50's gonna do that. And he knew all along he was planning us. That's why, listen, that's one of the best producing partners you can have, but he be playing you sometimes. And we had to be like, yeah, I can't wait. And then in the last minute, he's like, I got somebody better to play the part. And he was like, Snoop. And I'm like, no, he can't play the part. What are we gonna do with his hair? His hair is to his behind. And then our fantastic Department of Hair, Missy, came up with this wig, you know what I mean? And that wig looked like something straight out of 1985. You know what I mean? So when I seen that, I was like, we on, let's get it popping.
He's doing a great job.
Yeah, he's nail on the head.
He is fantastic. And you know what I had to learn? So the first time they brought Snoop down to my office and they're like, hey, we want to introduce you to the showrunner. And I'm like, how you doing? The first thing, so you can't script this. It wouldn't make sense. the first thing he says to me, "What a chronic." And I'm like, no, we're not doing that here. This is a show. This is my show. We're not going to do that. You know what I mean? And I was wrong. So, but what I realized is that when he does not smoke, he's way off. He's terrible. His lines are like, you're like, what is he saying? And then he'll tell you like, medicine, I need some medicine. And then he'll go do his medicine. And when he comes back, he knows all of his lines. He knows everybody's line in the scene. And I said to him, like, how is this possible? He said, I can't explain it. And I was just like, wow. You know what I mean? But he was so fantastic. He was so ready for this part. And he really wanted to do it because he shared with me, his mother always thought he was going to be a preacher. So to have the opportunity to, play a preacher, you know what I mean? And then he and I were able to connect in just such a cool way. My mom's not doing well. And when it first happened, he called me and he was calling about the show. And I was telling him I'm in Detroit, my mom, and he's like, God didn't have me call you about your mom. God called me to have you get his message. So like, that's when I realized what a genuine human being this dude is. And it was just fantastic to have him on our show.
Yeah, that's an awesome story. Well, we know you're a busy man, so we don't want to keep you too long, but we know the finale is coming up next week and you're not going to give us any spoilers, but
I'm going to tell you everything. I'm going to tell you whatever you want to know.
Well, hey, we'll take it.
What you want to
know? What can we look forward to from the finale coming next week?
I guarantee you're going to jump out your seat.
Oh,
I guarantee you're going to laugh your butt off.
Oh,
I guarantee you're going to nod your head when you hear some of that Detroit music coming out. Those are 3 things I'm guaranteeing.
Okay. Well, I'm so looking forward to it.
I want to ask Randy one more thing, because I know he's familiar with our Who Can Get the Hands list. And I wanted to ask you, if you had to put any of your characters on our hands list, who would it be?
I can't. I can't. They're all fantastic to me. That was, how you going to put me in such a tough question? Right. That is like the most, being the showrunner, like, this is going to be on YouTube, on y'all thinking y'all going to be like, Randy Huggins, he said he can get the hands. No, now, who I would get the hands, honestly, if I had to get the hands. And I think this is going to be indicative of what we went through to make this show. So kudos to you for saying everything. Who I'm giving the hands to is COVID-19, because we shot our series pre-vaccine. You know what I mean? We shot, we had to get 3 Q-tips up the nose. And we also shot where you're asking a bunch of young people who are 20 years old, who are getting money for the first time, who are working in Atlanta, don't go to a restaurant. Don't go to a nightclub. Just go straight home. This is how we would do cast dinners. I would order food for everybody and we would get on Zoom. So to the hands to COVID-19. That's who gets the hands.
All right. Agreement with that.
We got it.
Amen.
Amen. Well, thank you so much, Randy, for your time. We truly appreciate it. And I can speak for us all when I say we thoroughly enjoyed this.
And we're happy. We're happy. I didn't get a chance to ask you about your connection to Erykah Badu.
Yeah, this is real quick. So somebody, I had to graduate, you had to take an elective, right? At Grambling. I was a history major. So I took a theater class and I'm in the class and I'm from Detroit. I didn't even know what a scene was. I was like, what's that? You know what I mean? And he asked us to act out a scene from my favorite play. I'm like, man, I don't know no plays. So my teacher, Mr. Norman, was like, well, get up there and act out something that happened in your life. So I would act out what happened like the weekend before. You know what I mean? And Erykah, well, not Erykah. Let me just say this one chick in my class was like, you lying. Ain't nobody like that dramatic. I don't know nobody like that dramatic. And I'm like, I'm telling you, it's mine. She's like, well, if it's like that, you need to write that in a book or a movie because I don't know nobody. Now, I didn't think anything of it then. And then she graduated that spring. And then I was there like another year and I went to Chicago with my boy's crib and he's like, yo, you seen Erykah? And her name was Erykah Wright. So he's like, yo, you heard Erykah's album? And I'm like, nah. And he had the whole poster. And I was like, I had drama with her. Like, oh my God. And that was the first person that told me that I should write. You know what I mean? And then like when she came to Detroit, I had on all my Gremlin stuff. You see, I'm rocking right now. Gremlin stayed in the building. So I had on all my Gremlin stuff and I waited by her bus. Like I wasn't letting her leave until I seen her. And when I walked up to her, she was like, "You remember me from Mr. Norman class?" I was like, "Yeah." And then she told me something I forgot. She was like, "You remember you used to try to talk to me every day?" Because she got green eyes. And I was like, and I told you I was from Hawaii. Because I was going around like, dang, that's how girls in Hawaii look. So that's my Erykah Badu story.
That's dope.
Well, I'm a huge Erykah Badu fan, so I had to ask.
I got a tidbit right here. Now, one of my favorite actresses on our show. All my actors and actresses on my show are fantastic. But who I really have an affinity for is Nicole Brianna White. And her
She's
and
amazing.
Russell Hornsby worked on Jitney. You know what I mean? So they worked on August Wilson's Jitney. So that's why their connection seems so genuine. You know what I mean? So basically, I tried to cast Erykah for the mother role.
Oh, really?
Oh.
And we wound up with Nicole Brianna White.
Wow.
Erykah was my first choice. So remember, I said everybody on this show, somebody had another choice, and then the people who are here are meant to be here.
They're meant to be because she's killing it.
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we couldn't have done better. But because of my Gremlin connection, I was trying to put me and her back in Mr. Norman's class. You know what I mean? Where I could tell her.
I ain't mad at you.
No, it'll be another opportunity.
That's
Absolutely, 100%, 100%.
All right, well, awesome. Thank you again for your time. We don't want to keep you too long, but we appreciate you. We are looking forward to next week, and we know the show has already been renewed, so we're gonna be following up all next season. We are looking forward to it.
You want me to leave your viewers with one more tidbit?
We ain't mad.
Yes.
Go ahead, drop it.
Okay, so next season is better than season 1. Like we're already writing. I think I turned in episode 4 last night. So the word that I like to use for next season is elevate. So we taking it all up a level. So I'm just so glad that you guys love the show, and I really do hope to take it to the next level. And I can't wait to hear y'all next year. No, not next year, episode 8. And then next year, talking about, I can't wait to hear y'all predictions, what y'all think.
well,
We're gonna
bring
for sure.
We're gonna bring it. And I'm glad that you are now an official spotter. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I appreciate you. I love y'all show. This is like, y'all are like the only blog. Like I'll be in bed, like listening to it, like, and then I wake up like, what did they just say? Like, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. So thank you so much for having me. I hope y'all all have a blessed and lovely night. And I can't wait to watch y'all.
Excellent.
Thank you. And praying for your mom.
Thank you
We
so
will
much.
definitely lift her up. Definitely.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you again.
Thanks.
Bye.
I'm buzzing, let's drink up. Your death look like big fun. Come on, let's get it